Hey there. Um, let's talk about housing affordability and what we can control. We can't control interest rates. We can't control inflation. We can't control the cost of lumber, drywall, or where you can build a house versus where you can't due to zoning laws. What we can control is commissions. I think everybody would agree that everything is easier today than it was in 1990. And 1990 is the year I picked because that's when the real estate industry went through a major change. It was buyers had their own agent and sellers had their own agent. That started coming about in the 80s, but it really became a thing in 1990. That's when it really started to change. So I took a look at what an agent made then versus what they made now. In order to really understand this, you would need to understand one major thing, which is broker splits. So in 1990, whenever an agent would have a closing, they would bring that check, and it's still the same today, but not what they take from you. In 1990, just like today, if an agent gets paid, they bring that check to their broker. Their broker is their boss, their manager, aka brokerage, real estate brokerage. That broker then takes a cut of that check. The typical cut in 1990 was 50%. The typical cut today is maybe 10%, which means if you're an agent and you made $1 in 1990, your broker took 50 cents. Now, if you're an agent today and you make $1, your broker only takes 10 cents, sometimes less. And it's because technology has made everything so much more efficient to run a brokerage, more efficient to do all things. You have cloud-based brokerages now where they don't even have brick and mortar locations. Everything's done in the cloud. And yet commission splits haven't really changed. So let's look at this. In 1990, the average home price was $122,900. The average commission that was paid to sell that house was 6%, meaning each agent got $7,074 split between two agents. That means that each agent got $3,687. Okay, so hopefully you're following along in that math. $22,900 is the average priced home. Average commission 6%. That means $7,374 was paid out in commissions. Those agents split that, which means each agent got a check for $3,687. The broker would then take half of that. That was what was the norm back then. That's what was typical. Okay. That means each agent's actual take home was $1,843.50. Okay. So if you're following at home, let's write that down. $1,843.50. That's the average agent take home from selling the average home in 1990. 2026, the average home price is $438,000. The average commission is 5.57%. Okay. That means the average check, total check, getting paid out between two agents, $24,397. Each agent would get $12,198.50. But now it's very common for an agent to keep upwards of 90% of that revenue, or $10,978.65. So write that number down on the side. 2026 average agent, $10,978.65. Now, if you inflation adjust that average agent pay of $1,843.50 in 1990 to today, that's $4,719.36. So inflation adjusted from then to today, $1,843.50 is $4,719.36. But the agent today is actually making $10,978.65, aka 132.6% more. This is because of two things. The price appreciation of homes, they've gone through the roof. Housing across the country has gone up about 50% just in the past 6 years. But here in my little market outside New Orleans, Louisiana, there's no less than 8 different brokerages that I can find that are offering unbelievable deals to recruit real estate agents. Okay. So here's where it gets interesting. I actually ran AI to pull all this data. And one of the reasons that AI gave for why being a real estate agent was so much more expensive today is because it's so much harder for agents to find deals today. In 1990, there was 800,000 members of the National Association of Realtors. Now we're almost double that at a little over 1.5 million, but there's another 1.5 million licensed real estate agents, which means we're looking at 3 million real estate agents today. Okay. So with all that being said, one of the reasons why AI said being an agent is so much more difficult today is finding deals, because there's such an overpopulation of agents, because they are so overpaid based on a per deal basis. Okay. So agents are now giving 40% of their revenue sometimes to companies like Redfin or Zillow or OpCity or tons of other companies that are generating quality real estate leads and passing them along to agents. So agents are having to pay out huge referral fees to get those leads. Okay, that's how those companies are making money. There's actually a lawsuit about this right now where Zillow is steering leads to agents with the understanding that that agent is going to charge at least 3%, because the higher the number the agent charges the client, the higher the amount that referral is worth. And that agent is also expected to steer that person to Zillow Home Loans so Zillow can make money doing their mortgage as well. There's a lawsuit about that right now. So if you take that average number again, once again, $12,198.50, the average commission that an agent makes today, if you chop 40% off the top of that to give to Zillow, that leaves $7,319.10. So if you got to pay out a 40% referral fee, you're still left with $7,319.10. If you have to pay your broker 10%, which a lot of agents can find better deals than that. There are deals out there where you can pay your broker $100, $200 per transaction. That's it. That agent still makes $6,587.19 off that deal, even if they have to pay a huge referral fee and pay their broker 10%. Now remember, inflation adjusted, that agent in 1990 made $4,719.36 after they paid their broker half, inflation adjusted. Now you can afford to basically pay out half the money to Zillow and your broker, and you're still left with 40% more money today than you made inflation adjusted in 1990. If you pay out a 40% referral fee, you're still left with $6,589.19. Crazy. Here's the interesting part. This is where it gets even more interesting. I own a company called 1% Lists. We exist as a full service real estate brokerage charging 1% to sell homes. Selling homes requires a lot less labor than working with a buyer. It's more likely to close. Listing homes is also a great way to build your business. And so we charge 1% to list homes, and we typically charge 2.5% or so to work with a buyer, because a buyer might never close. They're running you around on evenings and weekends. They're just more work and less reliable revenue. So when you mix together our listings at 1% and our buyers at 2.5%, we're making about 1.7% per deal. That means we make $7,446 on average selling the average home, compared to the agent that makes less by paying Zillow. If an agent pays Zillow, they're bringing home $7,319 versus our $7,446. So despite the fact that we're charging a huge amount less, we're actually making more on a per deal basis than an agent who has to pay Zillow a fee. Now then, What percentage of agents is doing what we do? Less than 0.5% of all agents are advertising a lower fee from what I can tell. Out of the 1,000 brokerages in my market that did a deal in 2025, I can only find 3 that are doing what we do. So 3 out of 1,000. Crazy. So because agents are making so much more money today, a valid business strategy is just to sign up for all these referral fees and pay huge numbers to those referral fee companies like OpCity, like Zillow. There's tons of companies out there doing it. The reason they would do this is because even though they're paying these massive fees, they can still make so much money. Based on that data alone, agents are making 40% more money today than the average agent in 1990, even if they're paying out a 40% referral fee. So this is why we've had such an explosion of real estate agents. Now then, another reason why we've had such an explosion of real estate agents. By the way, there was a little over 4 million deals done last year, and there was 3 million licensed agents to do them. That's insane. If you want to find some very interesting numbers, look up how many licensed mortgage loan officers there are to lend money on deals versus real estate agents to do those deals. It's insane. Okay. Look up how long you have to go to school to be a CPA. And then let's look it up really quick. How long do you have to go to school to be a CPA, and how much money, how many clients do you have to be a CPA to make $100,000? How long does it take to become a CPA, and how many clients do you need to make $100,000? Because I can tell you, while AI is figuring that out, it takes about a week from your house to become a real estate agent. And it's less than $300 in my state. In most areas, it's incredibly easy to become a real estate agent. Okay. So in order to make $100,000 as a real estate agent, once again, average agent after splits taking home $10,978. So if I take $100,000 divided by $10,978.65, that means I've got to work with 9 clients to make $100,000 with a typical fee and a typical broker split today. 9 clients. The average real estate deal takes about 30 hours. That means I've got to work 273 hours a year as a real estate agent to make $100,000. Now, to become a CPA, it's about 6 to 8 years according to AI. And I need, with an average of $500 per return, I need 280 clients. That's to make $100,000 as a CPA. Is this starting to resonate yet? How insane this is. Completely insane. So, in a crazy way, about 3 years ago, the National Association of Realtors was sued, along with some of the biggest brokerages, for price fixing, collusion, antitrust, basically having artificially high fees. They lost. It's called the Sitzer-Burnett trial. They lost. I think the fine was like $1.8 billion. They wound up settling for like $400 to $500 million. But here's the fun thing. Due to policy changes and rule changes since that happened, real estate commissions have stayed the same, or by some metrics actually gone up. So if you want to Google something interesting, Google real estate commissions since Sitzer, Sitzer, Burnett ruling. They've gone up. Now, if you think about what a real estate agent had to do in 1990, this was before the internet. This was before the MLS. This was before clients were finding houses themselves to give to us. This was before I can now do a market analysis on a home in less than 5 minutes. A very professional one, like really deep dive into data, less than 5 minutes. Bluetooth lockboxes made it possible to where I don't have to go chase keys anymore. I can literally show up to a house, whip out my phone, open the house. The agent gets notified the moment I go in. The agent's notified for everything. They don't have to be there. The listing agent doesn't have to go there anymore. I can print out all the data that I need directly from the internet. That's if my client doesn't already have that data themselves, which all the time they always do. It automatically requests feedback. It automatically pushes feedback to our clients. Effectively, the job has become incredibly efficient and easier to do. And that's before we even think about AI and what AI is doing. And yet, agents are not going down on their costs at all. They're not going down on their fees at all. If you look at the fastest growing real estate brokerages around the country, they're recruiting agents by offering them amazing deals. And let me give you a for example, just to show you. So you have these companies like, let's look at Realty One Group. If I pull up Realty One Group, let me share my screen really quick. Okay. If I go to join the one as an agent, what's the first thing that I see? It's created by an agent for an agent. That's why we let you keep 100% of your commission for a full-fledged brokerage with coaching, technology, marketing, branding, 100% of your commission. Okay. If I go to any major brokerage today, any quickly growing brokerage, they're all recruiting agents by offering them unbelievable splits, unbelievable caps. The agent keeps almost everything. All this technology and all this efficiency made it possible to run a very efficient real estate brokerage. And the agents are being trained to pass along zero of that savings to the public. And this is the reason why. It's the same reason why it takes 5 years in my state to become a plumber or an electrician. It takes 2 years to get licensed to cut hair, and it takes a week or two at most and $300 to get licensed to sell homes. The higher the number of headcount of real estate agents, the more money all these boards, all these associations make. All right. If they've got 10 real estate agents, they're collecting 10 dues. If they've got 20 real estate agents, they're collecting 20 dues. And so the problem with this is now, in order for a real estate agent to really do well, they have to do a ton of deals, but it's impossible to do a ton of deals because there's as many real estate agents as there are deals. And so the only way they're going to keep renewing their license is if the windfall from one deal is tremendous. Just tremendous. And so the entire industry is built around inflating the number of agents. But in order to keep those agents, they have to keep the fee inflated. Otherwise, they don't renew. And throughout all of this, all of these companies are here offering agents a better deal. And while agents are actively being trained not to offer a better deal to the public. Once again, out of 1,000 brokerages in my market, 3 of us are advertising a better deal. And by the way, we get picked on and scrutinized nonstop by people in the industry for having the audacity of just passing along the savings to the client. This is a huge problem. The average age of a first-time home buyer is 38 years old. People aren't getting married. They aren't having kids because they can't afford it. So I can't control interest rates. I can't control the price of lumber. Can't control any of these things. But what I can say is real estate agents are grossly overpaid for what they do now. And there is zero credence being given to just charge people less money and do more deals. Despite the fact that my average agent, and this is the crazy part, the average agent last year did about 2 deals, but they're making 2.6%, 2.7% per deal. My average agent did 14 at 1.7%. That means my average agent is making exponentially more than all these agents charging higher fees. We went one year, I've gone to one award ceremony for real estate agents. It was at the North Shore Area Board of Realtors. It was about 2 years ago. They actually give out awards based off how much money an agent makes. We have to submit the data. Half of the Platinum Award winners, half. That's the highest award. Half of them work for my company, 1% lists. In that entire ballroom, not a single agent walked up to me afterwards and said, "How are you making more money by charging less money?" They are taught to hate it. They are taught to despise it. We are told we're not team players, we're bad for the industry, what we do is awful. This is a problem. And it's a problem that you would have thought the lawsuits would have changed, but it hasn't. If anything, it might have gotten worse. I'd love to chat with you if you want to learn more about what we do. Have a great day.